serial entrepreneur, played for the Philadelphia Eagles, NFL. Son's doing great. Real estate, marketing, broadcasting. What haven't you done?
Hey, no, some people said I couldn't hold a job, you know, but I get around, you know. It sort of prepared me for what's going on now, you know. So you just got to be able to. I can dig into this pot, for this one, and that. But it's all good, man. Life is good.
So it is true that your wife is a big, huge fan of the Giants, right?
No, it's kidding me? Why are you kidding me? Yeah, man. Yeah, I know. You'd have to give me a lobotomy if you even thought that I would date somebody that was a Giants or a Cowboys fan. Yes. I want to look twice at the Cowboys fan, but no offense out there. You know, I don't want to be called a sexist. But nah, Janet, you know, she's got a story. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I was joking with you because in Wikipedia, you know, they say that the documentary's, you know, real life exactly, and that Janet is a huge Giants fan. And then I go to your webpage and it goes, here's the real story.
Well, the two things you never, you know, don't believe everything you see in the movies. You know, this was not a documentary, as Coach Ramil said, you know, because somebody asked Coach Ramil, hey, well, you know, how true was the movie? He said, well, it wasn't a frickin' documentary, right? And it's a biopic. So don't. And then Wikipedia says that I was invited to. I had a private workout with Coach Ramil, which was a bunch of bullshit. And I mean, they were all the guys were there. You know, there were a couple of 300 there. All I know is there was only one guy that I was concerned about, and that was me and Coach Ramil. And man, he gave me that. What a shot, you know, just to get that look at 30 years old. He didn't know I was 30 though.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you lied about your age, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
How old did you say you were?
Pull by top 3.
I told him I was 24. Yeah, well, you know, in the movie, they have that great scene right toward the end of the movie, you know, after the workout. And he catches me in the car, you know, and he was talking about, there's a couple great pictures there. Yeah, so that's Janet right there, by the way. That's that's Janet when she was on the USA World Team. But anyway, he you know, we actually had the conversation that they had at the car. That was actually in the elevator at Veterans Stadium. And he sort of had me pinned there. He said, hey, Vince, that was a pretty good workout, man. He says, you know, you ran a 4.5. I said, really? I didn't know that. You know, he said, yeah, he ran a 4.5. And he said, you look good out there. He said, how old are you? And I said, I was 30 then. I said, yeah, I'm 24, you know. He said, where'd you play your college ball? And I'm like, oh, I said, I didn't play college ball. I was at Temple. Well, I didn't realize that at that time the Temple had suspended their football program. But, you know, what did he know? You know, he was coming from Brentwood, right? Yeah, he's coming from UCLA and out there in the fluffy land. And so he don't know anything about Eastern College. You know, back then Temple. So I got away with it. And then 15 minutes later, the athletic trainer, he hits me in the shoulder and he says, hey, they want to see you up in the executive offices.
Now, when they say that, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm thinking. Yeah, you know, I really didn't know what I'm thinking. And when I go in there and I come off the elevator and I walk in there and I see all these murals of my idols, you know, Chuck Bednarik, Tommy McDonald was my absolute idol. And I see all of them, and then the receptionist, oh, hi, Vince, how are you, Mr. Papale? And she said, Mr. Murray would like to see you. I said, Mr. Murray, Jim Murray, the general manager? He said, yes. And so she said, go right through here, you know, coach's office to the left, and the third office on the right is Jim Murray. So I go past Coach Ramil's office, says, hey, Vinny, way to go. You look good out there today. You know, nice workout. I liked what you were doing. You know, so I go walking into Jimmy Murray's office. And
are you pinching yourself right now?
Pinching myself, man. I had to run to the bathroom. You know, I had to make a pit stop. And he said, man, he says, we really like what we're doing. We want to bring you on and put you on our roster. I said, what? And he says, how's 21,000 feel? I said, I'll give you 21,000. And that was it. And then I was a season ticket holder, you know, for 10 years. And I actually started when I was in college as a season ticket holder. And I said, do I have to give up my season tickets? And he said, nah. He says, he said, we'll get you, you know, you just hang on to them. You still have to make the team. And so in April of 1976, I took a leave of absence from my coaching job, my teaching job, and decided to chase my dream. And, you know, I've worked out every day at the stadium with Roman Gabriel. Roman Gabriel.
That goes back.
Right? Remember him? Cochise, right? I mean, he played all those movies, played for the Rams, and he did all those movies out there in Hollywood. And Gabe took a liking to me, and then it was pretty cool because Mike Schmidt and Steve Carlton, two of the best Phillies of all years,
Mike Schmidt,
were there, and they all trained together. So they invited me to work with them and their athletic and their personal trainer, Gus Hoffling, who eventually became the weight and conditioning guy for the Eagles. And they took me under the wing and got me in like shape I'd never been in before. I learned a little bit of martial arts because Gus was a martial arts guy, and I was able to use some martial art techniques in my releases and things like that when I got to training camp. And I was always in great shape because I was a track guy. I was a decathlete. Actually.
Yeah, you killed it in track.
Yeah.
You won.
Track was my deal. Yeah.
Didn't you win nationals or?
Well, I did. I won a meet, an indoor meet one time at the Madison Square Garden, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
What was Madison Square Garden like back then?
Well, there was the original Madison Square
That's what
Garden.
I mean. What was that like?
Oh, it was wild. You know, it was right on top of each other. You know, it was so cool.
It was like Madison Square Garden of Woodstock.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you could put put that Madison Square Garden into, you know, like it's like you could just put 5 of them into some of the new arenas that they play in, and they had the wooden track and you know the tiers and the guy's mispronouncing my name, Vince Papale, you know, and that's hey, you know, it's like
What are you gonna say?
Hey, I don't care what you call me, just call me, let's go, you know, and I won that, and then you know my award was because it was my birthday, and I had a couple bucks in my pocket, and all the boys from St. Joe's, we all went out afterwards to celebrate a little bit, and we got robbed.
Oh, fuck. How'd you get robbed?
We got robbed. Some sneak
Why
thief.
didn't you run?
Some sneak thief. Yeah, some sneak thief came into our room for crying out loud, you know, and yeah, so it was quite an experience. But yeah, track was my deal. And you know, I did that for 6 years, and I mean, at St. Joe's, I won a pole vault scholarship.
Yeah, pole vault's no joke.
Yeah. So I think I had more concussions pole vaulting than I did playing football.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, but I don't remember. You know, I mean, that was back in the day when if you got a ding, you would get a smelling salt, right, Rob? You get a smelling salt, and you put
get
it up.
back up.
Yeah, you know, how many fingers is that? You know, and I got 5 up here. Hey, it's 2. Yeah, that's good. That's good. You know,
that's how I always say it. That's how my grandfather was.
Yeah.
I say this ad nausea, but he used to make me catch 100 balls in Philly, well, Lebanon, and if it was 10 degrees out, my mom would be out. You're gonna kill him. You're gonna kill him. I had to catch 100 balls in a wife beater in the summertime, 2 sweatshirts, 2 sweatpants, but I was running back. So then when I played and they handed me the ball and everybody's giving me a heat warmer, like a hand thing, me, I'm used to my grandpa who's 6'7", who was jacked. Yeah, he got the height, not me. Don't look at me.
Vince gave you that look, Tommy.
I'm aware. Vince, I'm aware.
He didn't get those genes.
I'm aware. I'm 99.9% of the time I'm the shortest guy in the room. But I didn't use hand warmers, and the heat didn't bother me at all.
That's funny.
But, you know, it made me tough. As much as I hated them at the time, but I broke a lot of records because it didn't bother me.
Hey, you know, toughen you up right back then.
With
that
being said, Vince, what do you think nowadays? And it's good that they have the concussion protocols that they have for these players and things like that. But in general, you see, you know, kids, I don't want to say they don't want to work hard, but they're handed a trophy and everything's celebrated. What's the difference from when you were coming up, when you were growing up, the work ethic, all that type of stuff, compared to maybe some of these athletes now?
Well, a huge difference. You know, we didn't have those comfort zones, you know, places you go to and suck your thumb, or, you know, you have coloring books and all that kind of stuff. You know, you played and you lost. If you lost, you lost, you know, and you try to figure out why. You weren't allowed to make any excuses, you know, and nobody was going to make excuses for you. And that's basically what it was very physical. You know, the rules of the game. I couldn't, under today's rules, I probably, based upon what I did back then, if they had today's rules back then, I probably wouldn't have made the team. Because I was so physical, and I would be hitting guys below the waist, and you know we were allowed to do that, crack back blocks. I could come from the stands if I wanted to and jump on and just come in and rip a linebacker, put your helmet right in the sternum, and you know, you decleat them. And
You mean when it was fun?
oh man, you kidding me?
When I was younger, when you guys could really
football.
hit, shit, this is flag football to me.
Yeah, but you know,
to
get back to your question, you know, back then it was you know, you just played and you played hard, and participation trophies. I remember one time with you know, Vinny. He looked at what's this? I didn't earn this. You know, he's, you know. But you know, we're making a big mistake right now with our children, and just softening them up and not showing them the value of physical fitness. You know, the value of having that dream and not having it come true, and allowing them to learn lessons through the process, through the journey. And too much is handed out, you know, and it's happening all over. And I think it's just ruining people's psyches and also their motivation. And thank God, you know, Vinny's 26 and he's in the USFL. My daughter's 28. They're beyond that, and I'm so glad that
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I was 47 when Gabby was born. So,
oh boy.
Yeah, I should talk about the Italian stallion. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I hear you. I hear you, buddy. What number are you at? Actually, I don't even want to know because I get destroyed.
No.
This episode is brought to you by Let's Get Checked. Are you the man your father was? Recent studies have shown that men's testosterone levels have dropped substantially since the 1980s at about an average of 1% per year. Think about how old your father was when he was born. For example, if he was 30, your testosterone levels could be 30% lower than his. Low testosterone levels can have all type of health effects on men. It can affect your mood, sex drive, memory, muscle mass loss, you name it. And yes, low testosterone is more common the older you get, but it can affect men at any age. So let's talk about today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked. You can order a testing kit that will be delivered to you in a discreet packaging with next-day delivery. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available from your secure online account within 2 to 5 days. So, if you want to test your hormone levels without having to leave your home, visit trylgc.com/MSCS Media and get 25% off your test using the code MSCS Media. The link is in the description at the top. This episode is sponsored by WestonJohnBoucher.com. Even after a decade of exposure to the fashion industry, while fully immersed in the modeling world, model and future designer Weston John Boucher still hadn't found clothing that checked every box when it came to look, feel, quality, durability, and price. His solution was to create a menswear brand that would bridge the gap between designer-level pieces and reasonable price points without sacrificing quality. Weston's aim was to provide men who prioritize their health with effortless sophistication and style through simplicity of flattering fits, handsome designs, and amazingly comfortable materials. It's time to elevate your style. Experience obtainable luxury by Weston John Boucher at WestonJohnBoucher.com. Use the code Tommy to save 25% off your first purchase, their largest discount ever. I'll tell you right now, it would give Imperial Armani, Giorgio Armani, Page a run for its money. So go to Weston, WestonJohnBoucher.com. Use the code Tommy, Tommy, and save 25% off. Link is in the description below.
Quit and go to another school, and the way they've set it up, I'm not quite sure I agree with all that. But that's pretty much the way society's going right now. And they're moving in that direction, you know, making it too easy for people to lose and to fail, you know. But that's all right. We'll take care of you. Well, that's not the way it was when we grew up.
You know when I kind of started seeing this happen, not to this extent, and I'm not picking on the guy, but when LeBron would go to whatever team was winning. Remember before you had Kobe Bryant?
Mm-hmm.
Never gave up. He was my favorite player. I got season tickets just to watch him. And he would miss a shot, and after the game, everybody's in the locker room. We go up to have dinner. He's still shooting that shot for 2 hours after the game. With a guy like LeBron that this generation watched, he would go from team to team to team that was going to win. Nothing to take away from LeBron. I mean, he's a genetic freak. But he would go with the winning team. He didn't feel the loss to build it up and so on. Then you add it now you give everybody trophies, you got bullying, you can't discipline anybody, you can't put fear in anybody. So when you put on the TV and you see LeBron and he's your guy or whatever, and team to team to team, then everybody gets a trophy. Where's the drive going to come from? Where's it going to come from?
See, I don't know much about LeBron's past, and how he grew up and whether he's a tough kid or not. I mean, he's a heck of a player. And
oh yeah,
and,
I don't mean to pick on him.
No,
just
and
moving around.
yeah, I was going to say it's set up that way. So why wouldn't you not want to take advantage of it? Because that's the way it's structured. And
good point.
And then okay, I can move on. Let's move on. I did my thing in Cleveland. I did everything that they asked of me, and let's go. So let's go out to L.A. Do this. But the system allows them to do it. And I remember how much a big deal it was with the NFL back before I was even playing in the NFL. I forget. I think they were striking over it. To have this thing called free agency. It was like it was going to ruin the game. Well, that's all it is now. They're just going. You don't know where one guy is from one day to the next. And then Odell Beckham Jr. He's visited 3 teams last week, and where's he going to go? I mean, it's just really it's pretty amazing actually the way the structure of the game is set up, and sometimes I think we're losing track of the game being the game. And there's so many other factors involved, and I just wish people would let us have our Sundays without all the stuff,
all the political judgment, whatever you want to call it.
You don't even want me to go there.
Me neither. I don't want to go there.
You don't even want me to go there.
I don't want to. I've heard
that. That transfer portal now with college football. Even I read an article yesterday. It's college kids on 1-year contracts is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's hurting the high school kids coming up too because they're picking from the transfer portal, and kids that may have got scholarships are not getting them now because they're filling up from this portal.
Oh, they're doing 1-year contracts.
It basically is. I mean, you could if you go to Florida, let's say, and you sign there, and then let's say you're the second stringer because you weren't good enough, you didn't make it. Well, I'm putting my name in the hat. I'm gonna put myself in the portal. So now Kentucky picks you up, and you play their year. You don't like the coach. Okay, I'm gonna put myself in the portal again. And that's why I'm like the NFL. At least like the veterans. The Eagles just signed Sue and a couple of these guys on 1-year deals. They're at the end of their careers. It's just to sign them for a 1-year deal. But normally you're not signing a 1-year deal in the NFL. At least 3 years or whatever it is. But these kids are basically 1-year deals, and they're gone. There's no loyalty, like I said, anymore, or allegiance to anyone.
Well, that's just the way the game's structured, and that's just society in a whole. Yeah. So why not?
I get
it. Hey, listen, everybody's telling you in life, in order to succeed, you got to be able to adjust and call your audibles.
Yeah. So what are you going to do?
So what do you do?
Unless you're Aaron Rodgers, right? Yeah. One of the greatest quarterbacks playing, and he can't call his own audibles. Yeah. Fucking coach.
Oh, well.
Now, when you were playing, you guys were so physical and hitting, and you never heard concussion. No. You never heard about all that. No. Now, all of a sudden, everything's concussion, and they have better padding, better equipment. Why do you think that is?
Well, obviously, that hopefully it's you would think that they want to take care of the player. There's a great investment now that they're making in the players, so you always have to keep that in the back.
Like Big Pharma, maybe?
They what?
Like Big Pharma's involved?
Well, I don't know about that. No, I don't want to get into that. I don't know anything about that. I mean, I'm talking about contracts, and what the players have, and the investments that the teams are making in the player. I mean, it's pretty big investment, and the fans make those investments as well, with their soul, with their heart, with their cheering, and also with their season tickets. But I think it's a good thing. I really do, because of all the stuff that's coming out with the CTE and the brain damage and a couple of my teammates that I know that are starting to slip a little bit, and I think it's a good thing. Back then, you wanted to be like that macho man, hey, I played with a ding. But now it's not really the smartest thing in the world to do. I mean, I was making fun of the 2 smelling salts in this, and how many fingers up and what day and what's your name. But, we're finding out with now and science and medicine that it's not quite the good thing. And I sort of like what they're doing and trying to protect the players in that respect. Sometimes, in some of the rules, that they've changed, it's so judgmental now. And I think it's slowing the game a little bit. There's a lot of questions about, what is roughing the passer, what isn't. You're hitting this guy low, you're doing this, you're holding. I mean, it just every week. And now, how many times do you see illegal receiver downfield? It seems, all right, well, let's tag this one. So what's it going to be next year? So, but hey, you know, it's still the NFL, man. It's the best there is out there.
It still is.
And I'll take,
even with the craziness.
That's it,
right?
man. I'll take whatever they give me. You know, I'll take it. You know, because it has NFL on it.
What was recovery like when you were playing? You know, now we have ice baths, we have all this, you know,
cryotherapy.
Yeah, all this stuff. When you were playing after a game and had a rough one, what's the recovery like after that?
Oh, we had the best training staff, I think, in the NFL with Thotho Davis and Ron O'Neal. You know, this guy constantly, he was head of the National Trainers Association, and he was recognized always as a guy who could bring a ball player back quicker without re-injury. I mean, that was an important and a really key thing. So our recovery, I think we're way ahead of the curve, and we had the you know, you had the typical ice, you know, the ice treatments and the ice, you know, you get in the ice whirlpool and this and that. But we had actually that sleep chamber that you could get into. You know, we were one of the first to do that. If you wanted to go in and get a massage or something like that, you would have one of the interns and they'd work you out, you know, and get you through. So I think the recovery process was really quite good. But see, me being a track guy, you know, being a decathlete and stuff like that, having to go all the time, I have my own recovery system. So, you know, you're going to get your dings, and, you know, every once in a while you have to have something to take care of that ding. But I never really thought that I was misused or anything like that in terms of the recovery. I thought I was getting 100% of everybody's effort to get back into the game. You know, I had one job, and that was to smack the guy that was returning the kickoff for the punts and protect our punt return, our kickoff returner. That was my job. And, you know, I always say, you know, find out what your role was and play it with passion, and that's what I did. So it was pretty cool, and I was so damn thankful to get 4 years in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, man.
And if I wouldn't change a thing. You know, I mean, maybe a couple more passes. Yes,
what do you think about when you talk about injuries nowadays in the NFL? There's this big push now to have all the stadiums that switch to, well, they're investigating or whatever, the turf back to natural grass. You're seeing a lot of these knee injuries, torn ACLs, Achilles torn. Do you, in your opinion, do you think that it does make a difference, grass versus natural turf, and maybe there are more injuries because of the artificial turf?
It's
tough. Right?
Turf is tough, you know, and the turf that we had at Veterans Stadium.
Oh, God.
You know, come to my house in Jupiter. You'll see two of the stands. You know, two of the seats are back in the pool area, and out front I have some of that turf.
Oh, it's so
yeah.
cool.
I mean, you would get second, third degree burns off that. You know, and now some of the turf, it's like, wow, you know, they got the pellets in there and it's pretty good. And it's interesting because, you know, I'll talk to my son Vinny, and you know, and he's playing ball. He's in the USFL, and, you know, I said, what do you prefer? He said, well, I prefer the grass. And I said, why is that? He said, I just feel like I'm in more control with the grass, you know. And when you take a look at the field at Lincoln Financial Field, oh my God, I mean, it's exquisite. You wouldn't even be able to tell. You know, what's really cool though, I like what they do out there in Arizona. You know, it's the indoor stadium, but then what they do is they roll that whole stadium, they roll it all the way out, and they grow the grass outside, and then for game, it just slides right back in. So imagine taking this table here and just rolling it out there, and then, you know, growing it just like regular grass, and then bring it back in.
Correct sunlight, real rain.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that, huh? So anyway, that was that's pretty cool. But, you know, the turf, AstroTurf, you know, started with the Astrodome, and they had to come up with something because, you know, and there it was. So they came up with the artificial turf. You know, it goes one way or the other. You know, you might talk to a lineman. You know, I'm sure, and the defensive guys, they want to get dirty and all that. You know, and I tell you what, the running backs was. So, you know, there was an election going on last night. You know, and messing around with my buddy. He's from Georgia. You know, and Herschel was playing. And back in the day, and I sent him. He was on the air last night, actually, while the election was going on, and I sent him a picture of Herschel when he was playing for the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
And if I showed it to you, you should have seen the shoulder pads, man. The shoulder pads, yeah, like they were as big as, it was huge. Those things. Now they just about wear anything. You see these guys go out. and they're wearing like pantyhose for crying out loud, you know, and they have nothing covering their knees. So you know,
that's
I mean,
crazy. The knee thing.
Yeah, I don't understand that. You know, back in the day, we
Pop
had
that knee.
Yeah, we had to have our knees covered, and you know, you had to have your socks up to a certain thing. You get fined for stuff like that. Now everybody wants to stay tight and lean and fast, and you know, you just take a look at the shoulder pads, and they're just about nothing. So, but you know, it's space age stuff too they've got going out there. You know, I guess if I were playing today, I'd probably be right there doing the same thing they'd be doing. You know, heck, I could probably have a Speedo torpedo if I
could. Now, in the locker room, was it a brotherhood?
Oh man!
Always like, because you know now, you know they're always people that are complaining. So back then it was just like a brotherhood. Everybody looked out for everybody.
Everybody looked out for everybody.
That's so awesome.
You know, yeah, you have a couple knuckleheads. It's like anything, but you know, but
they're still your brothers.
Yeah,
though,
they're
right?
still and you know, game day. I mean, yeah, you know, I think everybody should look at life the way we look at a locker room. You know, you see nothing but a brother. Yeah. You know, it's as simple as that, and it doesn't make a difference where they come from, whatever it is. They're your guy, and on game day, man, you're out there to protect them. You know, it's the teamwork makes the dream work, and that's all part of it. You know, even if they're a defensive back. So.
Give me a funny story from the locker room. You gotta have a good one that sticks out.
Well, we had this one guy. He was a reporter. His name was Scoop.
Scoop.
Yeah, he was a Scoop. So we all came up with this thing that when he was coming by, we were sort of pretending we were whispering, but we would let him hear something that was just some really farcical thing that we were going to come up with. I don't know, some guy's going to get traded or whatever. And then the next day
they would roll with it.
Yeah, the next day it'd be the Scoop from Scoop, you know, and then it would be in the paper, and so we got Scoop. You know, and just did a fun thing, or what we used to do to some reporters every once in a while.
It was so fun.
If they used to have these, like you get these tables. They had these big hampers right in the middle of the locker room. So for the intimate parts of your clothing, your socks and your supporter and all that stuff, you would put in a mesh thing, and then you just throw it into the hamper. So if we didn't like the way a reporter every once in a while reported what we did the day before, we would take the reporter and we would put him in that hamper, and then roll the hamper into the shower and give him a cold shower. So yeah, we did that. So I remember this one guy, man. I was so pissed off. I was playing with a pulled hamstring, and it was hurting.
Because every step
and we're going to get some Oakland Raiders, and the next day,
you have to play the Raiders too.
Yeah, right. And the next day, he gets us, and he gives our special teams a D+ or something like that. Well, guess what? He got one of our bads.
Yeah,
he got one of our treatments. Well, we never went below a B+ ever.
After that,
from that point on, honors, huh?
Yeah, he got the message. But it was just everybody had each other's back.
So cool.
And Coach Vermeil used to do a really, really cool thing on Fridays after we got done practice. He would sort of set it up, and we had the pool table, we had the foosball, all the other stuff, and it'd have hoagies and cheesesteaks. I mean, this is Philly, like the Besters is. And then he'd just have a quarter keg there, and guys just be sitting around, and we'd be with the coaches, and we're having a beer in the locker room. Yeah. And they do that, and they used to do that in the baseball locker rooms. But we did it once a week, and he wanted everybody just a little camaraderie. Nobody would take any advantage of it, and it was really a really cool situation. And it's just life should be a locker room, and that's the way I look at it. Yeah,
I always say that. I think kids should at least have to play some sport growing up, because they learn teamwork, they learn how to work with people of different ethnicities and all that type of stuff, because that is life. And these kids don't do it anymore. They sit on their asses. Their parents don't push them to do anything. It's sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
And I bet what Dick Vermeil did was so important for the team, because whatever BS was going on during the week, you'd have that one day. Even the coaches involved. Oh,
everybody, yeah, sure.
What's another thing you can remember with Vermeil? Like Cuz D'Amato, he always had his sayings, for Tyson and Teddy Atlas and all them.
Right.
And like Phil Jackson was like the Zen master. He just had a way to be able to contain a guy like Rodman, Jordan, Pippen, all those egos in one. Don't know how you do that. And then Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah.
But with Vermeil, what were some of those things like that, because he was just such a, such a like scholar. Would just I would read things that he would say, like quotes that meant a lot more than just a quote. You know?
Yeah, well, he's got some great quotes, and when I go out and speak, I have this one slide, and I give the 3 Vermeuleisms that I really like the most. You know, one of them was nobody ever drowned in sweat. I mean, that was a killer, because that was a sign that used to be right outside the door as we're going out in our locker room for training camp. So we'd all come out in a group, and we'd pretend that we were like a herd of cattle, and we'd all start and we'd walking out, you know, so like we're going out for the slaughter. You know, they can kill us, but they can't eat us. And so that was the first one. And the other one, this was great, is when we were talking to the press, because, you know, keep in mind, it's 76, man. There's computers are just coming in, and there's no social media. And he had to say, he said, don't overload your mouth with your butt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a great saying. But this is the one that pertains to me, and I use a lot, and it's an opportunity is worth to a person exactly what their preparation enables them to make it. And, you know, so it's all about that opportunity, and he gave me the shot. And then he's got another, I was just thinking, on potential, because Lombardi says, somebody asked Lombardi, you know, what's potential? He says something you ain't done yet. But when you ask Coach Vermeule what potential, he said it's 2 things. It's a coach killer, and he said, and it's the greatest waste a person can have is the waste of potential. Right, and I've always I build my speeches around those quotes, just the same thing, you know, what it was to take. And then there's this one that was given to me by my high school coach, who reminded me so much of Dick Vermeule. And Dick Vermeule reminded me of him, and his name was George Corner. And when I was trying out for the team, and I'm 30, everybody's busting my hump really bad. You're 30 years old, you never played college football, just because you played in these rough touch leagues, you know, and blah, 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 blah. So I said, what do you think, Coach? Should I give it a shot? He said, what do you mean, you crazy? Why wouldn't you want to do it? And he says, let me give you this quote. And he said, happy are those who dream dreams and are willing to pay the price to make their dreams come true. And he said, Vinny, just go out there and give it everything you have. He says, you know what it takes to pay the price. You've paid the price. And, you know, I went through a lot of stuff when I was a kid with my mom's mental illness, and that's another story. And he says, you paid the price. And this is the guy that was mentoring me when I'm 13 years old, and my mom and dad is going in and out of my mom is going in and out of a mental hospital, having gotten electric shock.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So, and this is the guy that got me that scholarship to college, and then when I'm 30 years old, he gives me that quote. And the thing is, you're willing to pay the price. And that's what's going on right now, you know. It's just, well, we don't know if we want to have these kids pay the price, and let's make it easy for them, you know. Let's set it up for them. So it's just, come on, man. Let's everybody go out there and give it. Yeah, right? You know, you can't win every race. It's going to be very simple. But you can win the race if you give it everything you have, you know. I mean, it's just
and not give up, right? Yeah, because as long as you don't give up, it's not a loss.
Yeah. Well, they're redefining every other word in the dictionary. Why not redefine the word winning? You know, how about winning is just giving a 1,000% effort. You know. Yeah,
that somebody just gives to anybody for anything, so everybody feels equal and they're all cozy and fuzzy inside, right?
Yeah.
What was your favorite team to go against? What team did you really look forward to playing against?
Oh, I really liked playing against the Giants, actually.
I just know it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the Cowboys, they were pretty intimidating. It was pretty cool that first game to go out there and be in Texas Stadium, man. Woo! That was wild. It was so hot, you know, and to see all the guys on the other sideline that you're watching on TV. And I have to tell you, I was a little intimidated. that first NFL game that I played in against the Cowboys. But I used to like to play against the Giants. I always felt we could beat them. And plus, the Meadowlands turf, they had the turf there. The Meadowlands was one of the fastest and best turfs in the league. So I liked that a lot. But, you know, it was really cool for me, because I'm watching these guys on TV, and now I'm playing I'm playing out there in Chicago.
It's got to be so mind-blowing.
You know, so Soldier Stadium, Soldier Field, and I'm out there at the Coliseum in L.A. You know, we're out there. We're playing in some of these marquee stadiums, Cleveland Stadium, you know, in Minnesota, you know, where the Twins played, and it was wild, you know. So, but I really like playing against the Giants, and I'll tell you why, because that was just really gave us a good game, and we got to know some of the players pretty well. But it's, it was pretty crazy because as much as I didn't like the Cowboys, I have a pretty good relationship with a few of the guys that I used to absolutely despise, like Michael Irvin and Drew Pearson, Emmitt Smith, and all them. They kick our ass, and then they're like buddies of mine, because we run into them. I do autograph signings all around the country and speeches, and I run into these guys, and it develop. It's that camaraderie, it's that fraternity, and it's a beautiful thing. You're talking about what's it like in the locker room. Well, if you expand that locker room and you take it to the fraternity of being in the NFL, it's pretty special.
It's awesome.
There's a lot of respect that the guys that you've played against, that you've really, really fiercely competed against, now are they're equal with you, and it's pretty cool. Great relationships.
How vicious were the Raiders?
Oh man,
were they really as vicious as everybody says?
Well, they're intimidatingly vicious,
or was it just like
whatever? No, they had it. They had that swagger, man. And it was great. And we played that one. I tell you what, I got clocked by Charles Phillips one time.
Who was the coach for the Raiders then? What was his name?
Well, it wasn't Madden. I forget. He was a quarterback.
Right before there, yeah.
Sorry.
Somebody will Google it up out there. But I tell you what, man, I got clocked one time, and I don't know. It might have been Cliff Branch that was returning a punt. And I had him, man. I just, I was like my laser. I had him all lasered up, and I was ready to go and get it. And all of a sudden, I got ear holed.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Charles Phillips came out of nowhere, and helmet to helmet. So my helmet goes round, and I'm on the ground looking out my ear hole, and he's giving me this Rocky crap because they always call me Rocky.
Yeah.
Hey, Rock, come on, man, get up for the counts. And I'm not going to let him think that he knocked me out of Veterans Stadium. So I sort of stagger over to the bench, and I look around, and everybody's laughing at me, and everything's in black and white. And I'm thinking, oh, cripe, I got the color knocked out of my life. Here, I was on the Raiders bench, for Christ's sake.
You went to the wrong bench.
I went to the wrong bench.
Oh my
yeah, that getaway moment. You want to get away? Well,
yeah,
that was my want to get away moment.
When
they were badasses, man, and I loved them. I loved the Raiders.
When did you get the name Rocky? When did they first start calling you Rocky?
77, when the movie came out.
Yeah, because you always got up.
Yeah, that's how the movie got started, thanks to Rocky. Yeah, and it just came up. Everybody was calling me Rocky. I had a couple of other nicknames that I can't say on there.
Sure, you can say whatever you want.
But, the Samurai was one of them. They just called me Pepperoni. Vinny Barbarino,
Vinny Barbarino.
Yeah, you want a haircut? Come here.
Yeah, Vinny Barbarino, Pepperoni Pizza Face, and then Unibrow. I had a great Unibrow. That was pretty cool. So, but yeah, the Rocky thing came up right after Rocky, a couple guys. You ever see that movie? I said, no. They said, you ought to see it. It's your story.
How big was the movie Rocky? When it came out, in real time, it was huge.
Oh, my God.
It was just a bomb from the gate.
It is still the bomb. I mean, I'll watch that movie as much as I'll watch Invincible, and it was pretty cool. And I got in good buddies with Rudy. I always bust Rudy and tell me it's offsides. Come on, man.
Yeah.
But Rudy and I are buddies. They get that. But to be compared to Rocky and all those years, and I wasn't quite sure. I certainly didn't want to have so much respect for Sylvester Stallone. I hope it didn't offend him. And I had the great honor of being the MC of the first Creed when it came to Philadelphia at the top of the Art Museum steps.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, that was really cool. And we're in the green room, and there's Sylvester. He's over there signing the posters, and, they're introducing this program. And our MC for the day is Mr. Invincible. Everybody knows him, Vince Papale, And then and Sylvester, Sly, looks up, and he goes, boom, and, he said, come on over here. And I'm thinking, oh, man, here we go. He doesn't like this Rocky thing, and he just hugged me and he said, "I'm really proud of you."
Oh, so
it was
cool.
like I had to tell you, it's one of the greatest moments of my life of talking about the movie, and some of the great things that happened.
What
was
he
to
said.
have the respect and admiration of Sylvester Stallone, because that movie Rocky had such an impact on me. About a kid from the neighborhood. It's just ham and egger. I'm a ham and egger. Parents never got beyond the 8th grade. You were telling me about your background. My grandfather coming from Naples, my other grandfather coming from England. It's just, and it's so like my parents never get beyond the 8th grade, and here I am in the NFL, Hollywood, Disney,
right?
Mark Wahlberg, Greg Kinnear, Elizabeth Banks. You kidding me? This is sick.
Yeah. This podcast is brought to you by Monster Energy.
Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it. You will too. Monster Energy is more than just the green OG. Monster has Monster Ultra, Juice Monster, Monster Hydro, Rehab Monster, Dragon Tea, Monster Max, Muscle Monster, and many more. Buy on Amazon, buy on Walmart, or go to monsterenergy.com and believe me, you'll find a place. Unleash the beast. Monster Energy.
Night Football comparing me to Rocky to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the movie. And that's how that's how Invincible got started. Hollywood saw it, and one thing led to another. People took risks, and here we are.
How does it make you feel? You know, if you're not from Philly, right, and people out there, you know, don't understand the town, right, the city. Philly always gets a bad rap. Their fans are terrible, they're this, they're that, bullshit. But, you know, there's legends in Philly, I always call it, right? And, you know, even though Rocky's this movie, Sylvester Stallone, that's a legendary Philadelphia thing. You know, you've got Mike Schmidt, you can go down the list of legends in Philly, and people consider you a legend in Philly because of your story, because that people wear your jersey to Eagles games. Yeah. You'll see 83 jerseys in the stands. What does that make you feel like when, to this day, people are still wearing that jersey? In that
like a million.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's so sick. It really is. And you know what I'll do is I can't help myself. If I'm walking and I'm at the link or at an Eagles game or somewhere, I see somebody with an Eagles jersey, and I always have my sunglasses on, my Eagles hat, you know, and all that. I say, yo, hey man, that jersey, that guy's my favorite player too. I love him, you know. And then eventually they might sort of catch on, you know. But it's you know, when people call me a legend, I actually they have other pro athletes. Hey man, the legend, you know. I say, oh wow, no, you kidding me?
But you're still so grounded. You know, you're so nice and laughing. It's like none of it got to your head, nothing.
Look where I came from.
It's so great to see, yeah.
Look, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Unbelievable.
My French, look where I came from.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I try to keep my kids the same way, and they're very humble. And, you know, the greatest thing they could say about my kids is just how humble they are and respectful. And, you know, and they care, you know, and that's how, and Janet, you know, we never really got into her story, but a world-class gymnast, coached at the University of Pennsylvania, you know, and
we'll pull out tab 3 again, because I was going to say about Janet, you got a little bit of a run for your money.
You kidding?
when I clicked on Janet and I saw her portfolio, I said, well, Vince, I don't know, buddy. I don't know who runs the household.
Well, you know, as they say,
click on Janet.
Yeah,
Rob.
there it is, right there. You know, I outkicked my coverage on that.
Janet, it's right next to the Invincible store.
Yeah, that's Janet right up there in the upper left-hand corner.
Scroll to the bottom.
Yep, and there's.
Look at all that.
Yeah, I mean, so if you go back up and see that picture up in the upper right-hand corner, that's her when she was 15 years old. Look at her poise and grace. That was at Dallas for the Olympic trials. Oh my God. And she was about ready to go to Munich, and then she sprained her ankle. She was well on her way, but you know, she's coached and taught over the world, and you know, that's our office right in the middle. That's a book that she and I wrote, Be Invincible, a playbook for reaching your full potential.
Go to the top, Rob, and go to store.
Yeah, so it's out there. You can buy it at the store, and I got that one. You can't because it was self-published. But the Last Laugh, right there up in the upper left-hand corner, and I have a book for each one of you guys.
Oh, thank
you.
Yeah,
I got one of them. That's Dennis Franks. I lost him last October.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, my teammate, roommate, best friend. You know, my kid's godfather.
I'll keep this up.
You know, so but that, you know what that is? The Last Laugh. So the picture of the Last Laugh, you guys had it up there. That's one that's in the Hall of Fame. The picture of the Last Laugh just led to that. He was too small. He came out of Michigan. Bo Schembech was his coach. He was the center, long snapper, and I was too old. So we came up with this vision of victory and all these V's, you know, vehemence, vitality, and some other stuff in between. And then we presented it to very, very famous people, entrepreneurs, coaches, you know, Harbaugh right now, Jim Harbaugh, right, you know, I mean, what he's about maybe ready to do. And, you know, all these guys gave us their stories through our Victor's Code, and that's what that's about. It's pretty cool. And then Invincible, the book Invincible, that's still available. Disney, I really love Disney for doing that because they allowed me to tell the real story, you know, and filled in all the cracks. And, you know, just don't denigrate the movie, which, are you kidding me? I'm not going to. Wow, I'm so proud of it.
And how did that come about?
Well,
how did Invincible? Did they call you?
Yeah, well, that's the Rocky thing. Yeah. So, you know, they did that feature on Monday Night Football. Oh, this was cool because Ron Jaworski and Stuart Scott.
Oh, Stuart Scott.
Yeah,
you know, buddy.
My
buddy.
The other side of it. Yeah, it was a cool side, the other side of the pillow. And, oh, man, I love Stuart Scott.
You
and
know,
Jaws.
he fought through that, huh?
Yeah,
even with the eye, he still didn't let that get to him. I love that. You know, when somebody never gives up, and you know what? He was damn good at what he did, too.
Oh, he was phenomenal. So anyway, Jaws and Stewart, it's Monday Night Football, and the Eagles are playing the 49ers, and the NFL Films did this feature comparing me to Rocky, and they showed it, and they're having a good old time, you know, in Jaws. Yeah, you know, Ron. You want to interview somebody, you ought to interview Ron Jaworski.
Yeah, we got to get him.
He's a pill, man. You'd love him. And so anyway, they showed the feature, and the next day I'm getting calls from Hollywood. Yeah, and so about 6 or 7 studios called within a matter of a couple, 3 days, and then we settled in with a guy by the name of Ken Mock, who created America's Next Top Model with Tyra Banks, and he says, I got a plan. And so as soon as and Janet went, right, okay, what's your plan? Well, we got this guy, and his name's Brad Gann, and he did the Oscar De La Hoya story, and I'm going to fund him, and he's going to write a script. And he says, but I need a contract from you to get your anecdotal rights and all that stuff. So we signed a contract with him, and Brad wrote the script. And I looked at it and it's, you know, okay, you know, this is pretty good, you know, but it's missing something. So Janet was on the Olympic committee, and the Olympic trials were coming up in California. So we went out to California, and went down to Malibu actually, and had breakfast with Brad and Ken. And I had a couple Bloody Marys, and all of a sudden, man, I'm gone, and you know, I'm in Hollywood, you know, I'm having a great old time. It's, you know, and they said, man, where's all this coming from? I said, well, we did it all on the phone. There wasn't any Zoom, you know. We're talking 19 whatever it was.
Oh wow, you mean when people really met with each other one-on-one like we are now?
Yeah.
Wow, unbelievable.
So anyway, so now they redo the script. They came up with a script, and what they did is they gave the script to each. You took it to Warner Brothers. You took it to Columbia. But the guys that did the movie Miracle and Rookie, Mark Mark Chiard and Gordon Gray, Mayhem Productions, and they took it to Disney, and they did Miracle, and they did The Rookie. So as soon as Disney looked at it, oh, we like this. This is, you know. And the guy that read it for the first time was a kid from South Philly. Right?
There you go.
I remember Vince Papale, man. He's a legend, right? So,
yeah.
And that's how it got started. Next thing you know, we go through the network, and I have to get an attorney to write to do the contract with Disney.
I bet that was fun.
Oh my God, yeah, it's $50,000 worth of fun. But anyway, it
We've
worked
had
out.
a couple people in that got buried,
Yeah.
you know, in them contracts with Disney and Netflix, and those stacks. I mean, they're to here, and your lawyer better read through every one of those words, right?
Hey, he had a vowel at the end of his name. His name was Vinny Carissimi, man, my man Vinny.
Vinny magnifying glass is what you need, my man.
Yeah. Well, he did a great job, and we signed that contract, and then that happened, and in 2004, before you know it, 2005, we started shooting, and Mark Wahlberg becomes me, and what a great guy he is, man, I'll tell you.
When did you first meet him?
Met him, and he threw a party for us up in New York, and right after he was finishing filming The Departed. And we had all the guys that did Friday Night Lights, all the actors, all the guys that did The Four Brothers were there. Giselle was there, Lindsay Lohan, a whole bunch of his friends, and they're there. It's like a reveal party, right? You know. You know, I didn't know what color to wear, so I'd wear green, you know, I'm being the Eagle, and no pink or blue, or purple. But so we, you know, and we had this party, and then so after the party's over, it's about 12 o'clock, and Janet says, "So where are we going now?" He said, "What do you mean?" She says, "We don't think this night's over, do you?" And we were up all night, man, and just having a good time, and then, you know, Mark started coming, and we started communicating, and he was so close because he was doing some stuff still in New York, and Cherry Hill's not that far from it. He actually swung by our house and got to know me a little bit, met the neighbors, which was really cool.
That's awesome.
And then we for 2 weeks prior to the filming of the movie, we had all the football players, because they were all Arena Football League players and former NFL guys that didn't have to worry about an NFL contract. We took them to Northeast High School, and we trained them. And then it was me and Jim Jensen, who was Jim/Jensen from the Miami Dolphins, and Mark worked together for 2 weeks and got him prepared to become an NFL wide receiver.
Wow.
And I put him through all my drills, and then come on, Vinny, let's go, one-on-one, one-on-one.
Could he do the drills good?
Oh, he was the best.
He's in good shape.
He had, and such a great attitude, such a great guy. You know, we'd be out. Traffic would stop when they saw Wahlberg. We're walking down Center City, Philadelphia, or people would stop him, and he always had his handler there, bodyguard. You know, the guy was about 12 feet tall. He was like
400 pounds all muscle, 2% body fat.
Yeah, the original Avatar. You know, and. But you know, Mark said, you know, it's all cool. You know, everybody's taking pictures with him, and you know, doing this. He's just a regular guy, and we still communicate. We text a lot. Every once in a while, we'll throw a FaceTime in.
Isn't his story amazing too?
Oh my God, it's an incredible story. Yeah.
You know, it comes up. You know, boy band, all that.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah.
Killer in the movie.
I did a great interview with him on set. It's also on YouTube. Just put Papale Wahlberg on YouTube, and it's pretty cool. We talk about it all. But he talk, you know, it's really great, and I use it when I speak. Is he talks about what it took to be the underdog. You know, he felt like he was the underdog, like I was.
Yeah.
You know, and he took that attitude, so it worked out pretty nice.
When they were picking the casts for that movie, did they consult you at all? Like,
No.
Hey, we've got this guy, and this guy that's going to play you. Nothing. You just found out it's going to be Mark Wahlberg that's playing you.
I found out. You know, I threw a couple of names in there. You know, with the producers, but you know, guys that I thought I'll just sort of keep it between. I'll just sort of whatever. But I never really knew much about Mark Wahlberg, you know. Then Mark from the Funky Bunch, my buddy tells me, and man, he was just great. But they did come to me and they said, well, you know, what were some of your favorite songs? You know, because I wanted to create that soundtrack. So of course I had to put Steve Miller Band, you know, Fly Like an Eagle. But you know, all the songs that I picked, they didn't pick one of them. But what a soundtrack! And then you know, Ted Nugent at the very end with Stranglehold. And one night I got a phone call. This guy, and you know, he got a hold of me, and he was with Ted Nugent. I'm there talking to Ted Nugent. I said, "Are you kidding me? This is so cool."
That has to be so mind blowing.
Oh yeah.
You know, because just where we're at now in your life, you know, you're in college. Then you're, you know, 30 years old, and you make it to the NFL, and now you're Rocky, and now a movie, and it's just unbelievable, right? It had to have gone like that, just because it's almost just unbelievable, right?
Yeah, it is nuts.
And then when you stop with football, you get into radio and broadcasting, right?
Yeah.
What did you like better, radio or TV?
Well, the TV was very difficult because I had to produce and write all my own stuff, and it wasn't video like it is now. It was tape. You know, it was, so when they were cut, they had to splice it up and physically splice it up, and I'd be there like 2 minutes before we were on the air, you know, working with an editor and jump on stage, and it was really stressful, you know, because I had one TV and I'd be trying to watch all these different events, you know, and to pull out the highlights of the events. I really liked radio a lot, you know, getting up early in the morning and just having a good old time, and then your day's done. And I liked radio a lot. And I had the opportunity when the Sixers won the World Championship with Billy Cunningham as the coach and Dr. J, you know, and Moses Malone and Bobby.
Moses Malone.
Yeah, man, you know.
Yeah.
So all those guys, and I actually was the sports director for the flagship station that won that. So I got to do some pre and post game stuff, and one of the best things ever happened with the biggest get was to get a one-on-one with Sylvester with Dr. J, Julius Erving, and because nobody, he says, you know, he was going to shut out from the press, and I went up to him and was, "Yo, Doc, what do you say, you and me, baby?" And he just said, Vince, he says, I got to honor my commitment to these guys. And then about 10 minutes later, this huge hand, you know, I mean, a hand like you can't imagine. He said, come on, I'll give you 5 minutes. And we went back, and I got 5-minute
How cool was
interview
that?
with Julia Serving.
How cool was that?
Yeah,
man?
you know, it was cool. You know, when they were playing the Lakers, and you know, he's now with Miami. You know, I'm talking about was the head coach there with
Pat Riley.
Pat Riley, yeah. I had a one-on-one with Pat Riley.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was just so cool. Yeah, you know, he knew no Invincible. He knew I played a little bit of ball, but you know, it was just he was the nicest, most respectful guy, and just was one of the most fun things I've ever done. So yeah, radio was really cool, and it set me up. You know, school teaching set me up, radio set me up, TV set me up for what I do now for a living, and that's how I speak around the country, all over the world. And I used some of those things that I was taught, and I learned, and I was taught by the best. I had the best mentors ever in all those professions, and I'm using it to my advantage right now, which is pretty cool.
I always wonder how you guys do it. This episode is sponsored by Aurora. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is? For years, this crime rate has been surging and affecting millions of Americans. I'm talking about identity theft, and there's a new victim every 14 seconds. Yet despite this, those who have had their identities stolen are often shocked when it happens. That's why I'm excited to partner with Aurora, who is sponsoring this video. Aurora is identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, and antivirus software all into one easy-to-use app. Their VPN allows you to stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history and personal information safe and encrypted. Protect you and your family from America's fastest growing crime. Try Aurora for free for 2 weeks and see if you or anyone in your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial today. Go to aurora.com/MSCS. The link is in the description below. This episode is brought to you by Fiji. More than just water.
This is not just rock. It's ancient volcanic rock that filters tropical rain, giving it double the electrolytes and its signature soft, smooth taste. It's not just water, it's Fiji water.
Receiver.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so one time, and Dick Vermeil was in center field. He was there for practice one time. You love this story. So I says, come on. I said, run. I'm going to rub Vermeil. I said, just run a post. Run me in a post right past Vermeil. And I'm running like hell. And then I watch out, coach. You know, and I sort of just gave him a little touch. Yeah. And he goes back and he said, man, if I didn't know any better, I'd swear you were Vince Papale. And I took my helmet off like to die. You know?
Oh my God.
But you know, the offensive coordinator gave me the game plan. The defense coordinator gave me his game plan. I'm out there in the field running scout against their defenses, and the scout our head scout would give me his analysis of everything, and then Dick Vermeil and me set up the board. It was so much fun. They called me the paper man because the side window where the window was, you know, was all full of all my papers and all my notes. You know, I mean, like that. We didn't have producers. We just did it on our own.
Yeah, that's
it
why
was
I asked,
really
because you
cool.
didn't have computers. You didn't have somebody wiring in your ear.
Nah.
I would think that would be harder. Somebody
was cool.
talking in my ear while I'm trying to watch the game.
I never did that. Yeah,
That would mess me up.
Yeah, mess me up. These guys are so good now. It's amazing.
And then unfortunately, and my mom went through it too. You had colorectal cancer in 01, right?
Yeah.
My mom had colon. She had the same thing, but she waited till forever. She was one of the stubborn, stubborn Italian woman. She waited till stage 5, could not go to the bathroom at all. We took her to a special doctor in Maryland. You got it 01, she got it 2000, and they had a cut. And they got her all out, but wherever it was so big that it had cut part of the nerve where she peed. And, you know, she was very embarrassed to ever go out because she couldn't tell when she had to pee. Oh. So, and all my mom ever did was eat steak and pasta. That was her entire life with her friends. So when she couldn't go out for like 2 years, she was really not really down. But then it started to regenerate. But later on, the stent is what ended up getting her too many infections. Yeah,
well, I got lucky. I got it early enough, and they just did a resection. It's like taking a hose and resectioning a hose.
Now, what were some symptoms that you noticed, and then you started doing commercials for the hospital?
No,
right?
I was asymptomatic. That's the crazy thing.
Fuck.
You know, every once in a while I'd feel a cramp in my stomach, but I just thought it was just typical, you know, this is what happens when you're 40 years old. No, I was 50-something. As you know, I just figured it's just part of what, you know, it's part of growing up. And then, you know, Janet says, you better get a colonoscopy. And, you know, my man up there at Jefferson Hospital, he found it, Tony Infantolino, and they found a polyp, and it was totally encapsulated, and no chemo, no radiation.
Good for you.
Took, you know, they took about 16, 18 inches out, and, you know, put it back together. I said, it's like just resectioning a hose.
Wow.
And nothing afterwards, you know, so fine. So now every 5 years, I got one, I got one coming up in the next couple of months. So we'll see.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man.
How often would you recommend someone, and at what age, to start getting checked?
Well, now they're saying 45.
Is that what they're
You know,
saying
yeah,
now?
they're saying 45. So, you know, 45, 50. Obviously, if you have history within the family, you want to go back, you know, maybe even a little bit quicker than that. And then, you know, it's usually about a 5-year span, you know, before the polyps, when if any develop, you know, whether they get cancerous. So I'm in that 5th year right now, so I'm ready to go. But the last one I did, they couldn't even see where they did the resectioning. They couldn't even see the scar tissue. Hardly. They did such a great job. So, you know, and I went to a teaching hospital. I had the greatest care ever. I was supposed to be out in you know, these 10 days, and they did it laparoscopically, you know, so I didn't even have an incision.
Wow.
They just took it right out through my navel, which was pretty cool. Then after 2.5, 3 days, I'm just walking the hallway. You know, I'm counting the tiles, and they said, we got to get you out of here, you know. So then after 3 weeks, 3 days, I was out. And it was funny because I went right from there. I went down the shore. I went to Ocean City, and I'm on the boardwalk, and I'm riding my bike. And who do I bump into? Is Jay Wright. He's basketball coach at Villanova. You know, who Jay worked for me when I was with the Stars when he graduated from college. Jay and I are like this. And hey man, didn't I? Yeah, I said yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, I got lucky.
Yeah. Wow. Congratulations, really, again on that, man.
Thanks.
Because that could, if Janet wanted told you to go, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Well.
And when you go through something like that and you get past it, do you have a different outlook on life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate it like you can't imagine.
Because you never know. Because
Yeah.
then you get a taste of what the end is, right?
Yeah, and then, you know, I waited so long to have children, and I've got Gabrielle and Vinny right there, and they're 3 and 6 when I'm going through all this stuff, and I'm looking at them and just saying, my God, you know, am I ever going to see them again? And well, they're stuck with me for a while. Here we are.
And then once you get past that, where do you go to next? Do you start really doing a lot of speaking, or
well, I did. I was doing you know, I was doing a little bit of speaking, not too much. You know, the legend hadn't hit yet. You know, I was the same guy. But, you know, I was doing sales and marketing for a mortgage company. I was doing Funky Mortgages. And then the guy who was the CEO of that became the CEO of Sallie Mae, the world's largest. Yeah, it's for student loans, you know. Hear a lot about student loans now.
Now, back then when you were working with Sallie Mae, what was your role? And
I
how
was
congratulations. That was huge. Remember
Yeah.
Sallie Mae?
Yeah.
I used to run the Northeast region. Yeah, and then the movie came out, you know. So then they basically said, well, you know, all of a sudden I'm sort of not around a lot, you know. So we worked out a deal, and I was able to retire from Sallie Mae, and then I went right from when the movie. I just got right into the speaking side of things. So you know, I'm still pretty busy. So it's pretty cool. And I'll go right home after I do this. I'll go and start working on a PowerPoint I'm going to be doing for a presentation next week up in Jersey.
In Jersey?
I'm not Jersey, no, Florida. That's right. We're in Florida, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, I live here, don't I? Yeah. I'm in Palm Beach. Jesus, oh my God, you kidding me?
We'll cut this part.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. And I think it's so cool, the Papale group, that you kept that within the family. Can you pull that tab up? And we have a little bit here, you know, 3 states.
Oh, there's a picture. Yeah, there's a picture right there that's in the Hall of Fame. And yeah, that's our Papale group, and that's the Union League. They allowed us to take some shots there, and that's me there. And let's see, my daughter is right behind in the white. My son Vinny, that's him in the left. Yeah, that's my Vinny, and he actually came up with it. And then we have teammates around in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Florida. And we have a new teammate up in Jacksonville, and so that's our team, the Papale group. So
scroll through that a little bit, Rob, and click on some of the tabs.
Yeah, we like to think that it's invincible at heart. Realtors you can count on, and Janet's got 40 years experience, but Vinny came up with the idea.
Did he?
Yeah, he came out. He's sort of entrepreneurial, and he's working on his MBA, his master's, and playing the USFL, and doing whatever he does. He trains, but that's us. That's what we're doing. So it's pretty fun. Yeah.
And then when did you start the podcast?
Well, Gabby and I just have a couple in the can. We've been thinking about it for a while, but she was making the transition from working with the 76ers into real estate. And so we put a couple in the can now. So actually it's there, and it's going to come out right after the holidays. And, it's going to be her millennial. She's not a Gen Xer. She's sort of a millennial. It's going to be her point of view as opposed to my point of view with some top people that are coming in. We know who we're going to be getting, and it'll be a lot of fun. So it's Gabbing. My daughter's Gabriella, Gabbing with Invincible. And there she is right up there. So that's my baby. That's my New Year's Eve baby. I used to call her TD. I went, oh, and that's so cute. You named your little girl after football. I said, no, she was born on New Year's Eve, man. She's my tax deduction.
That's good.
But you were doing Invisible Insight videos, right? You did do those.
Well, I'm starting to do that now. We have Rebecca Chalsom, she's our coordinator, and she's helping us out with the social media aspect of things. So every Monday, you can go to invincibleinsight.com.
Yeah, can you pull that up?
And I'll come out. I'll come out with something. Yesterday, I just talked about the gift of giving. With all the presents coming out, the best present you can give is the gift of giving.
Oh yeah, there's Invisible Insight.
That's the Papale group. And it all came about because I just did a fundraiser, big fundraiser for the cops, COPS, the Concerns of Police Survivors. So these are some of my invincible insights, and I'll talk about potential, opportunity, those kinds of things. And,
Pat Croce, man.
Yeah, there's my guys. There's Wahlberg, Pat, Ray Didinger, Hall of Famer. So yeah. So they come out on Mondays, and it's just a way to sort of stay alive and to start taking advantage of the social media aspect of things. And so then I jump back on Twitter, so I do some stuff there. But just try to do whatever I can to make people feel good about themselves, because right now it's a very trying time. There's a big storm out there, baby. We got to get through this. We get through it together. We get through it with love. Look at life as a locker room. That's how we ought to look at life, and everything would be really, really much better.
That's right. That's right. Now, when you started seeing not to go negative, but when you started to see the teams changing their names, did you cringe?
A little bit. Yeah. It wasn't, I don't think it was offensive. Of course, I'm not indigenous, or I'm not one of them, and I didn't see it as being offensive. And, talking to some of the organizers and saying it was never that intention. But, hey, listen, that's the way it's going right now. So if if you offend somebody, I guess you just got to roll with the punches, And as players, you just got to go out there and play. So, hey, it's like, I don't care what you call me, just call me. And but some of those landmark teams that are no longer that have that name, but
especially the Redskins.
Yeah,
I know a lot of Indian people and a lot of Indian people that live on those reservoirs, and they loved being the Washington Redskins. It gave them a name. It gave them something, So, and I don't know.
Well, I've been out to a few reservations, in the Dakotas, and one in Texas, and. Just a great group of people to work with, so I love it. You get a different perspective and point of view as the way things are, so, well, you got to respect everybody, and right now it seems like the small minority is not in terms of race or anything like that, just in terms of numbers are, sort of ruling the roost a little bit, we're all in this together. We're all in this together, so we got to stay as one.
Now, versus when you were playing to now, were the games rigged a lot when you were playing? And what do you think about now, or do you have no comment?
No, I don't know. I don't see games rigged now.
Not even now?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Not a little bit of calls?
Not a little bit of calls.
Not even a tiny bit?
Not even a tiny bit.
No?
No. I'm that Geico guy, man.
Plead the fifth. Plead the fifth.
I'm not going to plead the fifth. I don't see it.
No? Really?
No, I don't see it. Never even thought about it then. You know, not the way our guys played. We'd have killed somebody.
Might have to rig that one, right?
Yeah, well, you know, you talk about locker room law. You know, the locker room ruled. Yeah.
Now, and what do you think about college? Do you think the players should get paid, or do you think, what about money in a trust fund?
Maybe a trust fund, yes, but something right now that they can dig into and go
just
by
ruin their
themselves.
lives. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I don't see how that creates a camaraderie in the locker room. You know, I mean, it's different when you're a pro. You're expected to get paid. You know, and they still get they still get their stipends. You know, like when Vinny was in college, he got a stipend, which was very, very helpful, and we appreciated it very much. But you know, now, wow. Jesus.
Well, even now, like when you get to the NFL, NBA, how many players can we think of that got big contracts that ruined their life because they didn't have proper management, you know, proper people handle around them? The biggest thing I used to see before was the people that they hung out with. You know, they would go pro. Friends that I went to school with, they would go pro, and I'd see them. One kid, Jaron Hayes, he went full pro. Miami, went to Michigan State running back, and he kept hanging out with the same people that he hung out with in high school that I hung out with. And 2 years in, that was it. Got hooked on drugs, and that was the end.
Yeah, that'll kill you, you know. So, listen, I worked with a lot of agents back in the day after I retired. I did a really cool thing. I insured professional athletes' contracts against career-ending injuries. And a lot of times I would have to deal with the agent.
Yeah, if you could talk to me about that, because I think that's a really cool thing that you did, how you did it, and how you wrote it up, and elaborate a little bit on that, because I think a lot of guys need that.
Well, they had what it was against a permanent total disability, so you had to be out of the game, and you had 2 doctors declare that you could no longer play because of that injury. So that portion of your contract that wasn't guaranteed by the collective bargaining agreement, which back then there was a series of contracts. You know, it wasn't a 5-year, 4-year deal. It was a series of one-year contracts. And so the first year, the year you were in, you got full value. Let's say it was $100,000. If the second year's contract was worth $200 and you got injured through the season, and then you lost year number 3, you lost year number 4, let's say $300 or $400 respectively. So we're total, let's say, of about $600,000 or $700,000. We could insure that $600,000 or $700,000 through Lloyd's of London, and it wasn't all that expensive. And I had to go through agents a lot of times to do it, and sometimes the agents, which were sort of pissed me off actually, because they wanted a kick from my commission. And they're already getting it from the salary from the ball player.
They wanted to double
and
back.
that's what I'm looking. And I never said anything to the ball player, but I'm thinking, man, I don't know if you got the right guy. And you know, you've seen some of them, but you know, now the NFL and the NFL Players Association is keeping a close eye on these agents. But what a program it was! I used to insure planes in the event a plane would go down. I mean, thank God that's never happened. I insured surgeons' hands, heart surgeons' hands.
That's interesting. That's a great idea.
Yeah. I insured singers' voices all through Lloyd's of London.
That is so smart.
Yeah, but the most important thing was the athletes. And here's a great one, like Jim McMahon. I insured the entire Senior Bowl. So anybody that played in the Senior Bowl, if they got injured in that week that they were there and they couldn't play in the NFL, they would get a $500,000 cash settlement. They'd have to go through the 2 doctors and this and that, but tax-free cash. And they didn't have to pay for it. The Senior Bowl and the sponsors paid for it, which was pretty cool. So now they wanted Jim McMahon to play in the Senior Bowl. So, but he didn't. They did. You know, his agent didn't. You know, he gets injured. You know, his initial contract's going to be more than $500,000. What we were able to do, we were able to insure his future value as a professional athlete. I'll just throw a number out. Let's say $5 million. So we were able for that week to insure him for $5 million, and he played in the Senior Bowl. And a couple of NBA and free agents, they found out about what we could do. And so that what they did, they would play their free agency out, and then we would insure their future value, what they were going to try to get with their new contract. Let's say it's $5, $10, $15, $20 million. We would insure that through Lloyd's. And
wow, good move, huh?
It was pretty cool. Yeah. So what happened? We sort of got schnookered. You know, a company came in and they formed a little partnership with us, and you know, I no longer was a part of the game. But that's all right. I learned a lot. and did some. I think I helped a lot of athletes out. Gave them that
saved their lives.
Security. That security to be able to go out and move forward.
Now, now that you're not playing anymore, you could say it. Who was your favorite player in the NFL when you were playing? Now, step back.
Favorite player? Well, other than Denny Franks, my teammate, roommate. Oh, without a doubt, Ron Jaworski.
Yeah?
Yeah. Jaws. Yeah. No question about it, Jaws. Yeah, he was the man.
Who's your favorite player today playing?
Jason Kelce.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, he's a man. He's all that. I mean, the guy, I know what a center goes through because of all the time I spent with Dennis, but I mean, he is the heart and soul of the Philadelphia Eagles and Philadelphia. He gets it.
Yep.
He really gets it. And I'm not saying other guys don't get it, but unequivocally, it's Jason Kelce. No question in my mind. It's him.
It's amazing because my son's in high school now, and he plays center, and he's undersized for his position. And I always tell him to watch the way Jason Kelce plays and the shit that guy had to go through too. You're not big enough. You'll never make it. And I don't think he's missed a game in like however many years. He's plays on the offensive line. You always get hurt. He hasn't missed a game. He'll tape up his ankle and go back in the game.
Well, isn't that how it used to be?
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Hey, give me the shot. Let's go.
Let's go.
That's the way the game was played.
And then you got a lot of credit for Jeff Thomason, right? For helping him and his skills and everything else.
Well, whatever, he's just that's what that's what the last Invincible Insight was with giving, whatever I have. I was playing golf the other day with a young man who's got a couple kids that are wide receivers. And, I said, I could show him some pretty cool drills that I showed Wahlberg. And he said, really? And I got a text from him last night. I won't mention his name, but I got a text from him last night. He said, you really mean it? And he lives up in Hobe Sound, and I'm in Jupiter. He's like, 15 minutes. I'll be there in a heartbeat to help you out. But that's
what it's all about, right? Paying it forward.
I get people call me all the time, say, hey, I'm with somebody. They're a big Vince Papale fan. Will you talk to him? Yeah, why not?
Now, with your son, was he into football early?
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
And you just trained him, taught him what you knew, and then he went from that?
Yeah, well, I coached him, Little League, because I saw, some of the Little League coaches were a little bit too rough. And Vinny had and he was a very sensitive kid. He had special skills, and he was very, very gifted. And he has mother's genes, and I just wanted to protect him. I didn't want him to be used. So I coached him at those early ages, and went through all the drills that I gave, and I'm a firm believer in fundamentals, and I like to think now that he's as fundamentally sound as anybody out there, But he has that a lot of us have, you have to have. It's that spatial awareness, You have to understand what's going on around you. One thing I could do that I don't know how it was a God-given gift, I could read a defense. I'd come off the line of scrimmage and I'd see cover 2, I'd see cover 4, I'd see everything. And it's one of the reasons why I made the team. I made the team first as a receiver, then a special teamer.
So in your mind, you're very visual.
So I'm a very visual. Yeah, I don't miss too much. I'll see a lot. I don't say it, but there's not too much that I miss, and it's just, I don't know. And then Vinny got it, and our daughter Gabrielle is a great athlete, and went to Syracuse, and she did a lot of stuff for the NBA and the Sixers, and now she's working with us.
Talk a little bit about Gabrielle. She did a lot with the Sixers.
Oh man, yeah, she did all the entertainment.
To Gabrielle.
Yeah, all the entertainment. On anything you saw on the court, that was Gabby. And then the NFL, the NBA took her to China, took her to England, and she was stage manager for some of the events there.
I saw they took her to China.
And that was pretty
cool.
The
NBA is huge in China.
Yeah, and she did a couple All-Star games. So she said one of the funniest things. She was doing the one, and she was there, and there was I'm not going to say any names, but some of the biggest stars ever in the NBA, and she's there trying to rouse them up, and they're just looking at her and laughing, and having a good old time. She said she had a ball.
And by the way, I do like LeBron. I was just making the example earlier that he went from different teams. I don't want anybody to think.
Hey, I like LeBron too. I'm saying the guy, he's taking advantage of the system.
What he's allowed to do, right?
What's wrong with that?
No,
listen, he got the championship. He's delivered what he said he was going to deliver. If he didn't deliver, that's a whole different story. But he delivered, and then he goes on. So hey, God bless him. It's just that in college. It's sort of, the college, these guys just keep jumping from one school to the next. You can't keep track of it. I just sort of wish it were the way it used to be. But I'm old school, so what do I know?
Yeah, well, like I think the NBA put in you have to go to college for a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think
Can you go right from high school to the NFL?
No.
You have to go.
I think you have to have at least 3 years in college.
Do you think that's how it should be?
I think so, yeah.
Stay that way?
Well, maturity of the body. Some are extremely mature coming out 18, 20. But, that's just maturity. And I just think it's good that they, get those skills and, get a little bit stronger.
And also mentally, right? Because, you walk into a contract, it's 18 years old for $30 million, $40 million. And, now Gatorade comes, Nike comes.
Yeah.
That's a lot to be at 18. That extra 2 years of college, 3 years, to me, I think there's as bad as you would want to go at 18, of course, right?
Yeah.
Because how if you get injured?
Yeah.
But I think overall it's better that you would go at least do 2 years, right, and get some type of base about what you're about to be up against.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get to a professional level, it's a whole new ball game than college and everything else because your whole life changes, managing a relationship. How hard is that?
Oh, it's very difficult. For me, it's just, managing a relationship. There's a lot of people who are tugging on you, and that's difficult. Then there's a lot of time-consuming things. And then there's the injury factor, I just remember a couple of times coming home from training camp. I slept almost for 2 days in a row. I was just exhausted after that, so it's just adjustments you have to make. I was talking to Janet the other night, Doug Peterson, he's now got the head coaching job up there at Jacksonville. And we've been together with Doug since '99. And I asked him when he was the new head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles and what the adjustment was that he had to make. And basically exactly what you said, about the time having to be spent as a head coach, but then all the other responsibilities that you have to have with the owner, with the general manager, with the scouts, with the press, and all these other, and then with the players. If you're the receivers coach, you're dealing with the receivers, but now you've got everybody, you got to keep. And then every once in a while you get a cancer in the locker room. What do you do about that, And, that's pretty much what happened and why Doug was no longer with the Eagles because that, so it's such a difficult thing and so much responsibility and so much that's expected of you. And, you really have to be strong mentally, I think, to succeed and to survive in that. Hey, there's a great article right now, Rod Luck. He was talking about, not Rod, Andrew Luck, quarterback out there in Indy, and he was talking about the injuries that he had, and then he came out. I just read it this morning before I came in here, and he was just talking about the mental strain that it was and how difficult it was because he felt that he not only had to satisfy himself, but he had other responsibilities, those from the fans, from the ownership, from his teammates and his coaches, and, the pressure that he puts on himself. His father was a coach, and, it was very introspective, and I'm really glad that he came out with that. Who
I always think of as Andy Reid.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine how tough a time he had. He comes, becomes a professional coach for the Eagles, has a tough time in the playoffs, and then, if you're in the limelight, your family's in the limelight too. Then everything with his son, and I just felt terrible.
It's horrible, and but the only one that can really understand is him.
Yeah.
A lot of people like my kids, it's nothing like what Andy had to deal with, but the bullying and the things that they had to deal with, Gabrielle and Vinny, because of Invincible, they're skilled and they're successful and they've done it on their own. If anything, I pull back. I don't ever want to say, hey, he used the Invincible thing. Well, I don't. He's got to earn it, and they've got to do it. She's got to do it on their own. But when they made the switch from public school to a private school, you would think everything would be nice and safe, and then all of a sudden, social media comes out, and my daughters, and then Vinny's playing wide receiver, and a couple of the people he was challenging some people, and they took offense to it, and it wasn't easy, but it made him tougher. Yeah. And now they're in the real world, and they're ready for it. And I think that toughened it up. I could use my mother's mental illness and my father's not being the most loving guy in the world because, he's, his background, his father was a pig farmer and,
tough guy.
He's just a tough guy, and he's trying to make money to put food on our table. I could use that as an excuse for failure. But the way I look at it, I use that as that's something I can look back that strengthened me, you know, because then I realized how important it is to have relationships and people outside and have diversions that get you away from stuff like that. Mental illness back then's a stigma. Now everybody's talking about it. And,
why do you think that is?
Well, it's just the way it is. You know, it's just the way that we're brought up now. You know, things are so much more open. Back then, everything, you know, like your mother, you were saying, you know, it's just, that's the Italian way. You know, you just
hold everything
hold
in.
that in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would have thought my mom had 1 cent to her name.
Yeah.
And she saved everything. When she passed, she didn't have 1 cent. I'm not saying she was a gazillionaire, but, you know, she was one of those women, you didn't know anything. And, like, when she was sick, to the point where she didn't go to the bathroom, Vince, for a month, she didn't tell anybody. She waited until that long. But that was just her nature, you know, stubborn. Just doesn't talk. But
that's the Italian way. But hey, a lot of people, you know, depending on whatever your background is and whatever your lineage is, it's just there's so much more information out there, and people are not uncomfortable talking about this kind of thing. Look, I went through a stage, you know, and then you know, I was relationships. I was just the phone. Maybe I'm the guy. You know, I could be, so I sought help. And then who comes walking into my life 29, 30 years ago? But Janet.
boom.
Boom. Outkicked my coverage totally. And, you know, there she is. And then, you know, coach. And, you know, next thing we start working together, and she's coaching me. And, you know, my speeches and all this stuff, you know, how to be, you know, do this. I mean, what an impact that she's made on my life.
Because what fun is it if you don't have somebody special that you love to enjoy it with,
Oh,
right?
my God. And, you know, and you know, when it's just her and me, you'd swear we're in the locker room.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, Siri or Alexa must be having a ball listening to some of our conversations, because, you know what I'm saying, Rob?
And you know what, Vince? That's one thing you can't buy, right?
No,
yeah,
man.
You can't buy that.
It's earthy, you know, as it should be. And, you know, and it's all on the table. And we really have some great conversations, and it's fun.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah,
'Cause I can tell you just got such a big heart.
Well, I just love people.
Who's the best quarterback of all time? Rob, don't say anything.
Best quarterback, without a doubt. You know who it is. He's that guy up in Tampa.
He said it.
That's right. Always we do this all the time.
I still say Joe Montana, me. But.
Well, with Montana, I tell you, I tell you, Joe. I was at an autograph signing one time, and I was out in wherever I was. Oh, up by the Meadowlands, and you know, they have all these big stars here, and I don't even know why I'm there. And at any rate, the guy says, "Hey, somebody'd really like to meet you." And I said, "Yeah, who's that?" And they said, "His name's Joe." I said, "Well, Joe, why?" He said, "Joe Montana." I said, "What?" Yeah, Joe Montana, man. I love his new commercial. That's pretty cool.
I saw it.
That stuff.
Yeah.
He's cool.
My mother only slept with one guy, you know, my father, but the 3 guys she would always talk about: Joe Montana, George Clooney,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
and Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, really?
Isn't that funny?
Roethlisberger?
Yeah, she thought he was.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay.
That was the only guy she would ever say.
Really? How about that?
Now, how about the Eagles Pittsburgh matchup when you were playing? Nothing crazy?
No, nothing crazy, because I loved the Steelers, you know, and Denny Franks was from Pittsburgh. He was from Bethel Park. So I loved the Steelers. I remember Robin Cole just banging the crap out of me as I was covering the kickoff. I'm running up the sideline, and he's just hammering me, and he's just running. He's like, you know, doing crossovers, and I'm sprinting like I'm in a 220 or a dash, and I knew it was time to retire. But no, I loved it. I loved the Steelers. They were my second favorite team. So nothing big, you know. I didn't buy that, you know, state
Bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, it just was what it was.
Did you prefer playing in the cold or the heat if you had to
Oh,
pick?
the heat all day long.
The heat all day long?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Nobody ever drowned in sweat.
One of the quotes, yeah. Shit, I would have thought the other way around.
The cold hurts when you get
Oh, man,
Yeah.
I tell you, I played in Minnesota one time.
Oh,
Ooh,
man, I take it
man,
that
outside in the stadium, and, you know, and they had this, we're both on the same side of the field, so you're split by 50-yard line. 50 on the 50-yard line, and we're there. We have our space heaters and all that stuff, and the Vikings over there. No space heaters, no nothing, no gloves.
Did they test for steroids then?
I don't know.
That means no.
No.
I don't think that it's a bad thing personally.
No,
I think it helps
no.
you heal. You know, I think if taken correctly, I don't think it should be illegal for
No.
professional athletes.
No.
Personally.
Hey, you know, it was pretty free back then, so they didn't, you know, no blood tests and stuff like that. So,
Well, I mean, I think it helps with recovery and prevents injury and everything else.
well, we had our trainers. Our trainers were the best. I'll tell you what, we had the best athletic training staff, I think, in the NFL.
Now, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Well, who do you think? I think
I hope you say Brady.
Eagles.
Eagles, baby.
I'm an Eagles fan, but I'm for Brady.
Well,
No,
yeah,
he's-
well, I don't know if they're even going to get into the
Oh,
playoffs.
I don't know.
Yeah, it saddens me, you know, to see him. Yeah.
Now, from being in an NFL and, you know, the mindset, how much do you think that divorce and all that has affected him? Or is he such a professional? Do you think he's able to block that out and he just has a shit line this year?
I don't know. You know, that's a tough question, and I wouldn't speculate on anything with him because one of the things you've got to be able to do when you're that great an athlete, you're the greatest of all time, you have to be able to compartmentalize. But, you know, it's just so open. You know, again, you know, it's like the stigma of mental illness back there. And now there's this, you know, there's, you know, something going on at one of the networks. I mean, it's just always, it's out there. I don't know how it can't somehow creep in there, you know, like
Here
that
and
crack
there,
in the
right?
door right
Yeah.
there, you know, that maybe there's a little something, you know. It's so, but you like to think that he's so much a pro, but, you know, I don't know Tom all that well. But I would like to think that he's able to compartmentalize it. And it's just, it's, you know, whatever it is, whatever the relationship you're going through, it's just so sad that it has to be so open.
That's what I was going to say.
You know?
Years ago, I mean, if that's personable. I mean, him and his wife decided to separate, but now the whole world knows, and it's in the limelight, and that sucks. Like, that's your personal life, and everybody's commenting on it, and TV shows are leading with it, and his poor kids too. His kids got to probably see this stuff. You know, they're younger, but still, like, that sucks.
Yeah, I can't imagine going through something like that. And I met Giselle, right? You know, this was right after I think she and Leonardo had broken up. She was at that party that Mark. She was so sweet, you know, and really, really nice lady. But you know, I don't know anything other. I know nothing other than that, you know. So you know, you'd have to ask Tom, I guess. But you know, he'll say, no, this is the way it is. You know, I'll deal with it. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on in the game out there these days. You know, a lot of pressures. You know, that we never had to deal with, and one of them obviously was the immediate information flow. You know, you look, and John Clark. I love John Clark, right? I mean, John Clark's one of our guys. He's a Delco guy. I'm a Delco guy. And you look at Instagram, and there's John Clark, man. He's covering all the sports, and he's right on it. And I like some of that stuff, and it's all positive. That's what I like about John Clark. But you could be that anti-John Clark, you know. You come up with all that negative crap, and you throw it out there on Instagram or Twitter, and poof, in 2 seconds, it's right there.
All this, is that what the wokeism is? I still
don't
don't even know what woke is. Do you believe that? I still don't even really know what it is.
I don't know. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, forget all that.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Ron.
what do you think about just the Philadelphia fan base in general? You know, being a fan yourself, then playing for that team. You know, like we said earlier, they always get the bad rap through snowballs at Santa Claus or batteries, and Michael Irvin cheered when he hurt his neck, and hear all this bad stuff. But I always say, like, it's a blue-collar town. They pay their money to go see a game, their hard-earned money, and they expect you to win, and they make you stronger, I think, personally. You got to take some shit from them, right? But at the end of the day, I think they're going to give you tough skin.
Yeah, they're loyal, you know, and I know I was there for that. I was there at Franklin Field for the snowball game. And that guy deserved to get snowballs thrown out. You know,
You could pull that up.
he was a 120-pound skinny drunk guy that was out there harassing the cheerleaders in his Santa Claus outfit. And so, you know, I mean,
Don't go over with us, right?
it didn't go over real well with the Eagles fans. And I remember the Michael Irvin thing, you know, and that was unfortunate. And but there was something else that was going on, because there was another player that was there with the Cowboys that was prancing around trying to do a healing for Irvin, and they weren't booing Michael Irvin, they were booing him. So, but then I know you don't throw anything out, you know, from at anybody on the field. I mean, that's just dangerous. So, you know, people that do stuff like that deserve to get thrown in jail. But hey, listen, you know, I was one of those fans, and I was demanding, and say, given the opportunity, I could be out there, I could do a better job than them. And guess what? I guess I did. But you know, you respect them, and they're hardworking people, and they're loyal. And you can boo them, but boy, if you come in with a Cowboys or a Giants or a Redskins jersey, forget it. You're toast.
You're toast.
And I was at a couple games where I was in the stands, and a couple fans were with us Eagle fans. Those Eagle fans were getting in somebody had another color jersey on. And I actually told the Eagles fans to knock it off. I said, respect them. They're not doing anything but rooting for their team. It's okay. Let them wear their jersey. But, all fans, you got your nuts. I mean, that's what it is. The 80-20 rule.
My dad, he would take me to Flyers games a lot. And they go nuts too. Boy, you go in there with a Rangers jersey on.
Yeah.
When I went, at least like late 90s, I don't know if you'd make it out.
Yeah. Well, that or an Islanders jersey.
Yeah. Can you pull up
Yep.
Vince's site and go through them? Make sure you get to your appointment, and I don't hold you up too long so I can
All
talk
right.
to you again.
Yeah, man.
I found this picture, by the way.
Yeah, that's
who's,
pretty cool.
who's that good-looking guy?
That was cool. That Who's Nuts T-shirt, that was Kenny Imans. That was our special teams coach. So if we made a big hit on special teams, we'd got a Who's Nuts T-shirt. It was like the game ball. We'd think the hair, huh? I had it all working. Unibrow, the guy, it was working pretty good. But that was the Art Museum steps. We had to do the Rocky thing, of course.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it was cool. That's one of my favorite shots.
And this is the Papale group.
Yeah, that's my team. So, and you can easily find that. It's just look for the Papale group.
We'll have that in the description. Go to that.
Yeah, and then that's some of the things. I got those T-shirts and jerseys. I don't make a living selling stuff, but if anybody cares to get that stuff, I get them out to you.
Can anybody book you if they want to?
Yeah. What you do is you go to is it Contact Us? Go to Contact
Book
Us.
Vent. It's under Book Vents, right? Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
Yes.
Schedule a speaking engagement.
Just click on Book Vents at the top.
That's
all of them should come up.
Yeah. More info coming soon, but there's some stuff on here.
Yeah, there's an interactive setup that people can go to and comes right to me. Matter of fact, I just got a couple just this week from people going into the website there.
Yeah, just click on Book Vents, the actual tab. Just click on that there. Yeah, that's where I want. Yep. And we'll have all that in the description.
All right, hey, cool. Thanks, I appreciate it.
And when are we going to see the podcast really get
right
put out?
Right after the holidays.
Right after the holidays?
Yeah.
And that will be on the webpage?
Yeah, that'll be, we'll get everything set up on the webpage. Yeah, VincePapale.com. And then InvincibleInsights.com. I got that for the Monday deal. But you can pretty much find anything on my website. So there it is. That's my team.
It's your team, buddy.
That's my team. I love them.
Now, one real quick thing. I know you got to get going soon. You picked the Eagles. We know that. And go to the Super Bowl here. So far, knock on wood, so good. Who they matching up against? Who do you think right now? I'll tell you my pick, but you go ahead.
I'm not really following much in the AFC. Yeah, Buffalo maybe.
Yeah, Buffalo. I'm going out on the limb, and I'm still saying the Eagles, Dolphins Super Bowl.
Ooh,
Tua versus Hurts.
Oh,
is it two Alabama guys?
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
That'd be a good
I think Buffalo. I think Buffalo
stuff. Buffalo stuff.
Yeah, I've always been a Buffalo fan. So
even though I thought they were going to lose last week to the Lions, I almost thought they were going to lose to the Lions.
Yeah.
And then you got a guy like your story, right, Vince? How you came along. What do you think about Jalen Hurts? That guy. I mean,
that's amazing. His transition from last year to this year has been remarkable. And I thought after the loss to the Redskins or to the Commanders, and then just a so-so performance the next week, I'm thinking, oh no, is this, is something going on? Have they figured him out? No, man. And then he's got 2 350-yard games, and he's just blistering the NFL. I mean, he's got to be, without a doubt, one of the most prolific quarterbacks I've seen now in the game. If he can keep it up, let's hope so.
He looks like he's throwing balls.
Oh, yeah. He's just, he's really throwing a beautiful long ball.
Long balls,
and
great.
The acquisition. I was saying to Vinny, I said Devontae is such a crisp route runner, and he's just a skinny little runt, and he's such a tough kid, man. I just love his. I love his game. But A.J. Brown, man, he's brought a dimension. He's got the way I look. I see him. I see me and him. his aggressiveness and
Animal.
just, you know, he's not going to run out of bounds and save a yard. He's going to get that extra yard and lower his shoulder and go.
Put his head down.
And that touchdown, that last touchdown he had on Sunday,
right.
where he was wrapped, he had the defender wrapped, and he absolutely separated him and pulled the ball in.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? How the hell did he do that? And he's getting double teamed, you know, and
They can't stop him.
and he's just, you know, they've got an edge. There's an edge back, and you know, I was afraid with Goddard gone. You know, everybody's a common wisdom, but you know, the other guys are sort of making it up, and you know, and Jalen is just, geez, oh man, he's just lights out. It's fun to watch.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you one thing too. Barry Sanders, I don't think he gets enough credit. Barry Sanders was a beast.
Yeah, wasn't he though?
And I think he should have got a lot more credit.
Yeah.
And he stuck with the Lions.
Yeah.
How good did you think he was?
Well, this is best one of the GOATs. Yeah.
Man, could he move? He had them cuts, huh?
Yeah, could he move or what?
Could he plant that foot and move quicker than shit?
As they say, he'd break an ankle.
He would break an ankle. Yeah, they used to say like Iverson with the crossover and Curry.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders, he'll break your ankles.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure he did, a couple.
I said that the other day. You know, somebody was making a cut or a play. I said, look, man, he broke that guy's ankle. Wouldn't you know it? He was down on the ground, and he actually did.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
did
one of
he
the
really?
players. No, didn't break his ankle, but he had a sprained ankle. Yeah.
And then last thing, Vince, what would you say to, you know, the youth, whether they're in, you know, middle school, high school, they're coming up, whether they play football or they don't play football? What's your message to these kids nowadays? They're living such this social media world, like we talked about, listening to all the naysayers telling them they can't do it, you can't do it, you're too small, you're fat, you're this, you're that. What do you say to those kids?
Well, you know, first of all, don't listen to all that. You know, don't worry about that, how many likes you get and those kinds of things. That's easy for me to say. But be very careful of social media, because your real friends are the ones that you can feel and touch and see, you know, and your parents. You know, and don't be afraid to chase the dream. And don't be afraid to make a mistake, you know, and you might be vilified by whatever, but it's okay to make a mistake, and just be strong and surround yourself with strong friends and people that you can trust, and be trustworthy, you know, and more than anything, if something's going on, let people know about it. If you don't feel comfortable about something, let people know about it, and don't be afraid to seek help. You know, because there's just so much mental illness and things that are going on now because of COVID and what the social media did, because the whole social life for these kids was 18 months not going to school, was on a frickin' computer. And it's just, you know, and then you look at some of these poor athletes, you know, guys that had scholarships that just was evaporated because, you know, the seasons were canceled and those kinds of things. I just feel so bad for it. So, you know, it's a time of healing. It's a time of recovery, but we all got to come together. And like I tell my kids, is treat everybody nice. Treat everybody as if they're the most important person you ever meet in your life. And if they're an asshole, it's not on you.
Yeah.
You know, you just move on, but just say that's just the way it is. But not everybody can be perfect like you. Right?
And what would you say to parents that just
Parents,
have kids?
Just listen to your kids,
listen
man.
to your kids,
just listen to them and be there for them. And you know, they're going through a lot of stuff that we never. You know, I thought I went through some stuff, and what they have to deal with is just incredible, especially with social media. And all the trends that are going on, you know, where you know, if I'm not this, should I be this? I mean, you know, there's just so much pressure to be somebody that you're not, and trying to force you to be something that you don't want to be. Just be yourself. But parents, be aware of everything that's going on. I tell you what, if my kids were still in middle school or junior high school or high school, I would be on the school board's butt every minute of the day, understanding and knowing what's going on and what's being taught to my children in the classroom. And, you know, I talk about being fundamental. That's what's wrong with the fundamentals. What's wrong about having phys ed class? What's wrong about having shop? What's wrong
wood
about
shop? They took wood shop out, you know?
Yeah.
And cooking class.
And all the, I mean, you know, and typing and, you know, and all these, I mean, what's wrong with that, you know? And
history. How about history?
Well, no, but you know, they want to change history, you know, that's Orwell. So, you know, I mean, I could just go on and on. But to the parents out there, it's just, you know, love your kids. Tell them you love them. I was never told when I was a kid that I was loved, you know. And then finally, you know, it came, but there's not a conversation or a phone call or a text with my kids where the last 3 words aren't "I love you." I mean, that's just the way it is. And let them know that it's okay to make a mistake, and be there for them when that happens, and also cheer them on when they do great, you know, and just you know, but right now it's all about values, and right now the value system is a little bit skewed.
I just had my first, and she's 2,
Oh.
my daughter. So if I end up away, promise you'll come visit me. Because I'll tell you what, if things don't change, I might, Vince, you want to come visit me?
Oh, I love the twos. I love
Tuesdays
the
and Thursdays, Vince.
Terrible twos, baby.
Yeah, she's 2. Thank you for your time,
Hey, man.
Vince. I really
Great,
appreciate
Tommy,
it.
Rob.
Man.
Thanks for
It's
coming
great,
in.
man.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you. An honor. An honor.
Thank you very much.
And just like
Yeah.
you, when you see some of these guys, that's how it is for me. Like,
Yeah,
is this guy really sitting here?
yeah.
Thank you, man.
Sitting here.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And got you out on time.
Yeah, let's go.